Welcome to this executive briefing. Let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're doing a complete structural breakdown of the execution gap. You know, that critical make-or-break space where high-level strategy either successfully translates into tactical reality or, well, falls completely flat. We're going to look closely at governance, decision-making, cost control, and how modern project leadership absolutely has to evolve to actually deliver strategic value. Take a look at this metric right here. 64% of PMOs fail to deliver strategic value. Let that sink in for a second. Over 6 in 10. This completely shatters the illusion that just having a project management office magically guarantees strategic alignment. It doesn't. So often, organizations mistakenly turn their PMOs into administrative slide factories instead of actual operational engines. They track activity, sure, but they completely miss the bigger picture of driving real outcomes.
So here's our agenda for today. 1. The illusion of governance. 2. Early warnings and cost control. 3. Accelerating decisions, RACI versus DACI. 4. Operationalizing sustainability goals. And finally, 5. The strategic PMO transformation. Okay, moving right into Section 1, the illusion of governance. Right off the bat, we've got to establish the critical difference between merely tracking what people are doing and actively designing an environment that drives outcomes. Guys, there is a massive difference between reporting and governance. Administrative reporting, it's basically a slide factory. It just tracks what already happened, meaning it's entirely backward-looking. Operational governance, on the other hand, standardizes delivery, improves portfolio visibility, and actively aligns projects with your strategy to reduce operational chaos. So the bottom line you should take away from this? While reporting tells you where you've been, operational governance actually designs your execution maturity for exactly where you're going.
Now, when we look at PMO models, there are 3 distinct types: supportive, controlling, and directive. A supportive PMO provides templates but leaves you with high flexibility. A controlling PMO steps it up by enforcing governance with balanced oversight. And a directive PMO, that's high control. They actually manage projects directly with centralized authority. Now, here's the thing. None of these are universally correct. It depends entirely on your organizational maturity and complexity. But, and this is where organizations consistently fail, they create a PMO before they establish actual delivery discipline. Listen, a PMO cannot compensate for weak leadership or broken governance. It's just not possible. It can only strengthen what already exists.
All right, let's pivot to Section 2, early warnings and cost control. When we talk about a true project cost management dashboard, we are not just talking about another spreadsheet. No, this is your control room. It translates raw, messy cost data into early warnings way before leadership even sees the danger. Because in serious, high-stakes projects, cost isn't just some side story. Cost is the story. It's the story behind delay, behind pressure, and behind conflict. A strong dashboard acts like an early warning radar. It tracks budget versus actual cost, committed costs, and spending trends, so you can spot a workstream that's just burning money without any visible progress, and you can spot it early. Because here's reality, projects rarely collapse in one dramatic, explosive second. They weaken slowly, in this really predictable cascade of failure. Step 1, a missed estimate. Step 2, an ignored variance. Step 3 is a delayed decision. And Step 4, total project collapse. And right after that collapse, leadership always asks the question everyone dreads: why didn't we see this coming? Well, an effective cost dashboard answers that question before it's even asked. It gives you the hard evidence to challenge weak assumptions and actually act fast. That brings us to Section 3, accelerating decisions, RACI versus DACI. Look at this statistic, 70%. According to the source data, that is exactly how much project friction starts with stakeholder misalignment alone. Think about that. It's not bad execution. It's not unrealistic deadlines or using the wrong software tools. It's stakeholders expecting completely different outcomes, blurred ownership, and inconsistent communication. This right here is exactly why experienced project leaders manage stakeholders systematically, rather than just reacting to them when things inevitably go sideways. Which brings us to a really critical distinction in how we manage that friction. RACI is all about task execution clarity. You know, who does the work, who's accountable, consulted, and informed. It's great for that. DACI, however, is built purely for decision-making speed and momentum. So while RACI fixes unclear roles in day-to-day execution, DACI actively fixes the bottlenecks in organizational authority. Let's break down the DACI framework. You have the driver, right? The person who leads the decision process and keeps the momentum going. You have contributors who provide data and insights but have zero final authority. You have the informed, who just need to be aware of the impacts.
But the absolute most important part of this entire framework, the A, the approver. There can be only one approver per decision. Seriously, just one person with the ultimate yes or no authority. We have all been in that room where everybody thinks they're the approver, and we all know exactly what happens next. The momentum just dies and decisions completely gridlock.
Moving on to Section 4, operationalizing sustainability goals.
We are seeing a glaring capability gap in the modern enterprise. While 85% of sustainability executives are totally confident they can hit their goals, only 43% of PMO leaders agree. That is a massive 42-point drop. And what that proves is that we don't have a boardroom communication problem here, we have a delivery problem. Organizations are out there setting these ambitious goals far faster than they are building the actual capability to execute them on the ground.
So why does that breakdown happen? Well, it almost always comes down to perceived expense. 58% of respondents believe that sustainability makes projects cost more. So what happens when schedule and cost constraints inevitably tighten up? Sustainability gets completely deprioritized. It gets treated as this discretionary nice-to-have rather than a core requirement. And that's simply because the people delivering the projects can't see how their daily, tactical trade-offs connect to the organization's long-term strategic value. To bridge this massive gap, the Certified Sustainable Project Professional, or CSPP, certification was introduced. It essentially operationalizes sustainability into 5 concrete domains: people, planet, prosperity, process, and product. Think of this as your operational engine. It actually trains practitioners to take those lofty boardroom sustainability commitments and translate them into real governance decisions, risk frameworks, and procurement criteria. Basically, it means executing your sustainability strategy with the exact same ruthless discipline that you apply to scope, schedule, and cost.
And that brings us to our final section, Section 5, the strategic PMO transformation.
Look, despite what the current hype cycle might be screaming at you, AI does not kill project management, not even close. In fact, as companies roll out AI, they are hitting entirely new levels of complexity. It turns out algorithms are fantastic at generating text, but they are absolutely terrible at navigating corporate politics, right? AI introduces these new challenges that demand human leadership, team coordination, change adoption, and serious governance. Experienced project managers are uniquely positioned to cut through this new chaos. Complexity needs management, and AI is literally making these human roles more essential, not less.
Now, managing all that complexity requires actually understanding your mandate. A project mandate is designed to deliver very specific outputs, and then it ends. A transformation mandate, conversely, is a permanent capability. It's continuous organizational evolution. And here is the hard truth. Too many organizations try to run enterprise transformation using temporary project frameworks that were never designed for permanent change. You simply cannot treat a transformation like a temporary project. The skill sets might overlap a bit, but trust me, the mandates do not.
Which brings us to the final, most absolutely crucial point of this entire briefing. Who holds the authority to stop, fund, and reprioritize across everything that carries the transformation name? Because at the end of the day, a mandate is just a set of decision rights. If no one holds this actual authority, you don't actually have a transformation mandate. You just have a transformation label. And a label has zero power when priorities collide. So I want you to think about your own organization right now. Who really holds this authority? And if the answer is no one, are you actually transforming? Or are you just delivering projects under a much fancier title?